That brings me to my first question, actually, Harry, because I was just going to ask you that. So the season's just about done now. Are you happy with where Macarthur's ended the season, or would you have kind of wanted to be higher up on the table?
To be frank, no, not happy. Not happy with where we finished. With the squad we have on paper, I think we should have and we expected to finish much higher.
Yeah.
We had a few obstacles, I suppose, if you can use an excuse along the way with the challenge of playing the Asian Champions League and how much travel, considering Australia is so far from the other countries that we played, like um, Thailand, we went to Bangkok, Hong Kong, Vietnam. So that made things difficult with midweek games and travel and sickness.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, we should have finished higher than we did.
So what's it like playing under Coach Terjowski? He's obviously been like a really big name in Australian football, right? And I think when you came in, he was already there, right? So what was it? Was that like a big reason why you decided to join the team as well? And what do you think he saw in you, which really gave you a lot of confidence?
Yeah, I suppose for the last question, what he might have seen in me at the time, I was playing for South Melbourne,
Yeah.
and we were kind of dominating the second division in Australia,
Mhm.
and we were going quite far in the Australia Cup.
Mhm.
And I was captain of that side and top scorer in the league, and we ended up going quite far in the Australia Cup. It's a funny story when they signed me. We actually got drawn Macarthur. South Melbourne drew Macarthur for the semi final,
Yeah.
and I had played in the quarterfinal of my last game for South Melbourne, and then I couldn't play for either team in the semi-final. But I think just how I was going in that second division and in the National Australia Cup
Mhm.
probably prompted them to give me a crack and bring me in. And he's a great coach. He's had experience at the highest level, playing in Europe, in England, in France. Played at a World Cup. He was part of that Australian squad in 2006. That was kind of our golden generation. So his mindset as an attacker as well, I figured I can learn a thing or two from him.
Yeah, the golden generation. I think it had what Mark Viduka, Tim Cahill, a lot of those really cool guys played for Australia then.
Yeah, it did have a lot of good players, Lucas Neal, Mark Schwarzer. Yeah, they had a lot of promise going around the Australian team.
Fantastic. I want to ask you a question about this season in particular, because I think a couple of weeks ago you played against Juan Mata on the pitch. What was that like? I mean, I'm sure you've come across him in the past as well, but what was it like this time around? Were you able to get his shirt after the game or no?
Unfortunately, my teammate had already. I came off the bench in that game, and my teammate had already during the game said, "Hey, give me your shirt after."
Okay.
Um, but his impression on the league and from every player and fans as well is so positive. Like he's come in, and you'd expect someone who's played at the highest level for Manchester United, Chelsea, Spain, to have a bit of a arrogance, maybe. Like he's a lot higher than the level he's playing at now. He's played at a much higher level anyway, and he's completely the opposite. He's so down to earth. He's so nice. He wants the game to do well. He invests time into the young players. I mean, when I came on the pitch, he gave me a smile and said, "Hey, good luck." Maybe he was happy they were winning at the time. I don't know, but I've heard similar things from everyone. He's all about immersing himself in the team and the culture and willing to help young players, hang out with teammates day to day, go play golf with the younger boys, and he is a real addition to this league.
Yeah, and he seems like he's having fun as well. I just saw a clip of him with Aaron Finch, the cricketer as well, and just on the golf course, just having fun. And it just kind of shows you the kind of character he is. I think he's 38 now, but he's still playing at a really good level too, right?
Yeah, he loves golf. Apparently, he's played with a couple of the guys in my team that love golf. They've played with him
Yeah.
because he's so open to experiencing the country
Yeah.
and so vibrant. So he's dominating as well. I mean, this season he got like maybe 13 assists, I think, or
Yeah.
something like that. So he's running the show for them, and he's also doing good things off it. I'd probably say he's probably in terms of a total package the best or most influential foreign player to come here in both on the field and off the field.
That's amazing. It really is. And you said influential players because the ISLs in the past has tried to get those kind of players as well, what we used to call marquee players in the past. That's kind of done away with now. But the similar impact that, Juan Mata had is what we were hoping to get with players. Obviously, you and I know each other from Jamshedpur a couple of years ago. But tell me about that time in India. How did you come in contact with Jamshedpur? Was that something that was on your radar at all? Was Indian football ever something you wanted to achieve? How did that come about?
It wasn't on my radar at the time. I was playing at South Melbourne then, and I was doing quite well. And probably before I had the chance to speak with any A-League teams, I got a first contact from an agent who reached out and said, "Hey, would you be interested in the ISL?"
Mhm.
And to be honest, at the time, I thought, oh, it was quite flattering because the second division in Australia is not as highly regarded as the A-League, and I know a lot of Australian players now, and even then, were trying to get to these developing Asian markets like India,
Mhm.
which can be, both financially rewarding and also a life experience as well. So I was kind of taken back, and I thought, oh, of course, yeah, I'd definitely be interested. My fiance now as well, my girlfriend at the time, she's of Indian heritage as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of added a cool sway to things, and her family was like buzzing. They were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" And her grandmother is living in Gurgaon as well, and
Okay.
it has plenty of family there. So I kind of tried to jump at the offer, and then within a couple of weeks, it had come from just an initial interest to an offer on paper.
Mhm. So tell me a bit about that time because it was just one season there, of course, but I mean, it came at an important time for Jamshedpur and for yourself as well. That just won the league, right? So coming into a team like that, obviously that season didn't quite work out as well for us as we would have hoped for. But what did you learn there, and what was it like playing under AD Boothroyd, and what was that experience like overall playing in India?
Yes, I mean sometimes the hardest thing to do is join a team the year after they've won it. A lot of coaches to go back to back is a really demanding task. So Jamshedpur definitely had a big task ahead of them to replicate that success that is it Owen Coyle
Yeah, Owen Court, yeah,
had the season before? Yeah,
yeah.
Owen Coyle had
Back
the
then
season
now, I don't know.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I've seen. So it's hard to replicate that success. So it was a big project to try and bring in new players as well. I know they lost Greg Stewart,
Yeah.
who was a massive part of the team. Obviously, they still kept Daniel Chima and had a few players that stayed, especially some Indian boys. So it was going to always be a big challenge. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out as successful as we'd like. But for me, it was good to see a lot of talented Indian players and the experience a new country, and I loved it. Like I look back on it with such fond memories, even though it didn't go so well on the pitch. Just the whole experience and life experience of it. I wish we had a bit more success on the field. That's my biggest regret.
Yeah, I remember you started really coming into your own during the Super Cup time towards the end of the season. And I was telling people that Harry needs to play more games because he's got that confidence now and he's scoring goals, which is what you do. You've been scoring so many goals in the A League as well now. Tell me about before you decided to leave India. Did you have any more offers from the ISL to stay put? Was that ever on your mind to stay put in India or you wanted to go back? I think you went and played away in Europe after that as well, right?
Yeah, I didn't have any concrete offers. I had a little bit of interest from some clubs,
Yeah.
but nothing on paper and concrete. And I had to kind of make a decision. I brought my dog obviously over to India with Nina, and Australia actually changed their laws in bringing pets back into the country. So the day they landed, or the week they landed, we got told you need to live in a clean country for 6 months before you can ever come back to Australia,
Wow.
in terms of the rabies level, and India's like a category 3. So I had to kind of make a decision before waiting so long for the transfer window and whatnot
Hmm.
to go somewhere to allow them to come back if
Yeah.
they wanted to.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to stay in India, to be honest. I love my time there, but then I had an offer in Finland, and that would have allowed me to then also give my dog and Nina the ability to come home as well. So yeah, that was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah. Indian football is kind of going through a bit of a transition right now, Harry. Since you were there in 2023, things have changed a little bit. There's been some funding level issues. The ISL is not quite at the levels of profit it used to see earlier. Have you been keeping an eye on that? I know you're so busy with what's going on in Australia, but are you aware of this? And did you see anything there which made you feel like, okay, something's lacking here, like we're not able to take it to the next level? What do you think that is?
I do keep tabs of the league, the ISL. I know there's a few Aussies, for example, at Mohun Bagan.
Mhm.
There was a Japanese player that went to East Bengal that actually came back to Australia,
Mhm.
Ibasuki.
Yeah.
And I know there was a big break in the ISL and there was delays in it starting.
Yeah.
So I do actually keep an interest, especially in the players I played with
Mhm.
that are now at different clubs and a couple still at Jamshedpur.
Mhm.
So I do keep an eye on the league. And to be honest, I thought the league was going in a good direction. Maybe what would have strengthened the league is a more positive impact in the Asian Champions League competition. So, that really puts countries often start to climb, their domestic football starts to climb when they get their name on the stage in those Asian Champions League competitions. Um, so that's kind of the thing that I think Indian football's been lacking, kind of competing strongly in those competitions. And I think they can. They've had quality players to do so. I'm not too sure why they haven't been able to. There's been challenges with the travel um, and sanctions. I know in the Champions League with a few Indian clubs, I think Mohan Bagan maybe
That's right. Yeah.
came into a bit of trouble and obstacles. So I think the one thing, if they can compete on that international stage, it will really build more interest in the league from other players to take the league a lot more seriously and consider it more heavily. So I think that would be a big boost.
You mentioned the Asian Champions League there. I mean, you've had a bit of experience now at Macarthur. Being there, with Macarthur also competing. I think you guys finished first in the group stage level as well, right? Back-to-back seasons. What do you think kind of, I mean, I'm sure that would have been the goal this year as well. But when you look at that, do you think that that's something that was a missed opportunity, perhaps considering how well you started the tournament there at Macarthur?
Yeah, massively. All not just, to try and win a trophy and be the winners of that, but financially there's a huge reward now in these competitions for clubs. So even with how far we got, there was still a little bit of financial reward, but to go even further, there was big money on the line, really. And that can be a big incentive for clubs.
Mhm.
We were doing well. We did top the group, and then we faced a good team in Bangkok United,
Yeah.
and we kind of traveled there. And I think the biggest challenge was losing 2-0 in the first leg away.
Mhm.
It makes the second game, it's a bit like chess. Once you're two goals down, it's very difficult because it changes the whole landscape of that second leg. So I really think we shot ourselves in the foot with that result. Had we have gone there and maybe gotten a draw or settled for a 0-0, I'd back us in playing in Australia with them travelling all the way to Sydney to go further, and that's what we had set out to do better in the competition once we topped that group. And the boys were keen on getting some bonuses as well. So bit of disappointment, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think we spoke a bit about the ISL, but what was overall your favorite moment about playing in India, about being in India? It doesn't even have to be a football moment. I know you went to see the Taj in between. You kind of got a chance to roam around the country a little bit as well during your off time. What struck out to you? What was the most favorite moment about being in India?
I think understanding Indian culture and Indian people and getting a kind of like a gratitude towards it and how like beautiful the country is in its own way. Um, the experience with all the local players and Indian people in general, you don't get you don't get to experience India unless you go there. You don't have any idea of what it's like, what the culture is really like, the way of life and whatnot. So that was the biggest takeaway. Um, outside of football, it was just amazing to see the different culture of India, and now I have an appreciation for it.
Great. So I wanted to ask you a bit about European football for a bit, if you don't mind. You've played in Finland, of course. I bet you watch the Premier League. Do you watch the English Premier League? You follow it? Yes. So
Yeah.
Arsenal and Manchester City at the top of the table right now. Do you think Arsenal are going to bottle it, or do you think City, or what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Arsenal's going to win or City's going to win?
As an Arsenal fan, I'd love to say Arsenal will win.
I forgot you were an Arsenal fan. Okay, well, of
Yeah,
course you're going to say Arsenal then.
but I don't know. Putting my bias aside, I am slightly concerned.
The game at the Etihad really did it, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a sliding doors moment.
Yeah,
Now they've really got themselves in a bit of trouble, I think.
yeah. And what about the Champions League qualification spots? You've got United there, Liverpool, Aston Villa. I think Chelsea have kind of dropped up back a little bit. Brighton's one of the teams there. Do you think that'll be these three teams that'll qualify?
Yeah, I think so. I was slightly surprised that Brighton had snuck in there. I saw a funny thing that their coach gave them a few days off after a
Did,
recent
yeah,
good
he did.
result.
Yes, correct. Yeah,
So it's good to see that. It's good for English football because it can, if the same teams are finishing up the top, it can get a little bit stale. But with those new teams coming in and doing well, it's really exciting.
yeah. Great. And finally, I wanted to ask you about the Champions League as well. So we saw a great game between Bayern Munich and PSG. It was a 5-4. I don't know if you got a chance to see the game, but there's a game today as well, Arsenal Atletico Madrid. Do you think that Arsenal can win the Champions League this time, you being an Arsenal supporter?
I think the only good thing that might come out of if they start to slip with the league is that they might then find a bit of luck and really push in the Champions League. So that's a huge motivation for them. Um, I just hope they don't like put one foot in each camp and they don't come out with anything, you know. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, indeed. We spoke about Juan Mata a little bit. I just wanted to ask you a generalized question on this, which was more along the lines of, have you ever been starstruck on a football pitch? Like, is it like you've seen a player come on and you've been like, oh, that's the guy I used to watch or something like that. Have you ever had that kind of moment on the pitch before?
Even with Juan Mata, you kind of, especially coming on as a substitute,
Yeah,
when he was the first player that I had kind of contact with or like spoke with kind of on the pitch or an interaction, I was like, oh my goodness, like I've been playing FIFA with this guy since I was a young kid.
yeah,
Um, and then once I had my first involvement in the match, that wore off.
yeah.
Like when I'm running on the field and see him when the ball's out, for example, for a throw in, I'm like, holy crap, like I'm right next to one Mata. But then as soon as you kind of lock in a match or get your first touch or whatnot, it kind of goes out the window.
Mhm. Understandable. Okay, for the last question,
Yeah.
just need to keep your Aussie bias aside. Who's going to win the World Cup this year?
Uh, who do I reckon? Bosnia will be at the... No, actually, I think France will be too strong, to be honest. I think they'll do it again.
It's a good call. Who do you think is going to be the top scorer? Is it going to be a French? Is it going to be Dembele? What do you think?
I think it will either be Dembele or Mbappe.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
Great. That
yeah.
was all from my side, Harry. Thanks again for being so kind to take all your time for this.
No, my pleasure.
You were amazing in Jamshedpur, just by the way. I've always said to everyone, Harry's one of the coolest dudes that I've seen in the team. I'm so glad you're doing so well and you're back at the top of the A League now. Good luck for next season as well, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's been a couple of years, but I remember you're a great person when I was at Jamshedpur, so I
Thanks a lot.
appreciate those kind words.
If you're ever in India, let's meet up as well if you're going to be here in town.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Take care, buddy.
Sounds good. All right, thanks, Sarthak. Bye.